Hey guys and girls, how's it going? And welcome back to another mod spotlight with myself, Lewis. Hope you're all great. Today we're going to be having a look at a mod called Tubes. This is a 1.6 plus mod. You will need ForgeMultipart and Code Chicken Call installed for this to work functionally, and it does have full NEI support with that. That goes for drop and drag and R and U support with that. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do when you get into your world is to make some of this stuff, some plastic pellets. Now, there are two different ways of doing that. You can either use sand, clay, charcoal or coal, and that will give you 2 plastic pellets. Or if you have a bucket of milk, you can throw that in a furnace and you'll get milk curd. Now, with charcoal, coal, gunpowder and a bottle or a bucket of water, you'll get 8 plastic pellets, so a little bit more better for your money. Now, once you have your raw plastic pellets, you're going to want to smelt those and you'll get this stuff. Plastic, just like that. Now with the plastic, this does have mod integration with it, so if you have Minecraft Reloaded installed, you can use the plastic from that. It does have Buildcraft recipes built into that as well, and some of the Buildcraft tools will work with some of the tubes that you're going to be seeing. As soon as you have your plastic, you're going to want to make your basic tubes, which are done with glass and plastic, and they'll give you 8, and they look something like this when they're placed down in the world. They look pretty cool. They're see-through, they do the job very nice. If any of you have ever used RedPower 2, you're going to be very used to how the functions of all these tubes work. So let's have a gander at some of the more useful tubes that you're going to be finding and using throughout your tube network. Okay, so first up we have the extraction tube. This guy is made by using one of your regular tubes, a hopper and a sticky piston to create one of these guys. Now these are used for pulling items out of inventories. This can be used with chests and it can be used with furnaces as well. You're going to want to throw it down just like this, and the side where it is moving is the side that it's going to pull the items from. So if we quite simply put a piece of coal in here, it's going to pull a full stack out at a time just like that, bringing it right around to here. Now these guys can be controlled with a redstone current, so for instance if we was to click this off and pop it in, you're going to find that nothing's going to be pulled out of it until we release the redstone current just like that. It's going to pull them all nicely and through. Now the second tube that I want to show you guys is the restriction tube. Now this is made with a iron ingot and a tube just like this. Now if we was to go ahead and go like this, we'll bring a chest down here. We'll grab some more tubes and bring them, let's go along here like this. Yeah, this is good. Now you might recognize this from RedPower because this is very much the same type of thing. So if we remove this tube and we pop this guy down on here and we go ahead and throw our coal in here, you're going to see that the items are going to be pulled out, but instead of going into this chest, they're going to go all the way down there. The way that the tubes work in this is that they will always choose the nearest available inventory first. So if we was to take away this one here and then pop them down and throw some cobble in there, it's going to put them into the nearest available inventory, which is this guy here, unless we have the restriction tube, which adds roughly around about 2,000 additional tube lengths to it. So the next two tubes that we're going to be looking at are the ejection tube and the requesting tube. Now the ejection tube is very simple. It's made with a regular tube and a piece of glass, and is designed just to eject items out of your system. By placing it just like this with the open end facing, it's going to eject items directly out by placing items in your chest. It will then get pulled and thrown on the ground just like that. So very simple, does the job, but is a good addition. The next one is the requesting tube. Now this one is slightly more complicated in how it works. You're going to need a regular tube, an extraction tube, and you'll need a filter tube, which we'll get into very soon. Now how this guy works is going to request items from your system. With the pneumatic side here is the side that it's going to request from. Then it will move the items into the next available inventory, or can be specified with colour, because this does have full colour support for your tubing system. Now for instance, if we wanted to request cobblestone, we can go ahead and drop and drag directly from the NEI system here, which is very cool. So we can go like this. It all runs on full ghost blocks, so you're not actually going to need the amount that you're going to need directly to do that, which is pretty nice. And you can change the amount of cobble you need by shift clicking and moving up and down as well. Now it does have different modes. We have the always pull mode, we have the pull once per redstone pulse, and we have pull while redstone is active. We're going to have it as always pulling for the time being. So for instance, if we was to throw a stack of cobble in here, it's going to go ahead and pull it out of here and then move it to the next available inventory. Seeing as both of these inventories are really spaced about the same, then it's just going to randomly pick one of them, which is pretty cool. Now the next thing we can do is we can tell this guy that when an item comes out of here, we want it to be, for instance, yellow. So if we throw a cobblestone in there, it's going to go through there and it's going to be giving a nice little yellow splash and then go to the next available inventory, like so. Now the next thing we can do is if we tell it that we want it to go yellow, but we have a setup like this, we want to specify the way it's going to go, we'd have to specify it by using die. So for instance, if we have it like this and we throw our cobble back in here, it's guaranteed to go down the yellow line as it is given a yellow code, just like that. Now you can remove the colouring by using a water bucket and just dyeing it like that. Pretty cool, right? We can also change the colour and have multiple different types of colours like this. So for instance, we can have it like that, and then we could change it to red, and you'll see that once we throw the items back in, it's only going to go down the red line because it'll be given the nice red splash of colour, just like that. Cool. You can also get it to specify the cobble only, like it is at the minute. It means it will only take out the cobble that is required. So if we go and throw dandelion in there and cobble, you're going to see that it's only going to take out the cobblestone, and the dandelion is going to stay in there because all this guy wants is a bit of cobblestone. Next up we have the filter tube and we have the compressor tube. The filter tube is made with redstone circuits which require a little bit of gold, iron and redstone. You'll also need a little bit more iron and your regular tube to make one of these guys. Now how they work is they're designed to filter items through your system as it sounds. Now you can allow them to allow specified items or deny specified items on what you put inside the filter. They also have these options here for allow stacks specified with a larger size, allow stacks specified with any size, allow stacks specified with the same size and the smaller size and the larger size. You can also add colours for these as well for your output. So for instance, if we wanted to tell this guy that we would like some, and let's use any eye for this because it's pretty cool. So we tell it that we want some cobble in here. Yeah, we're only going to let cobble through. That's all we're doing. And we throw some chests in here. You're going to see it's pull them, but it will throw them back just like that because we're only allowing cobble through this filter tube. Now there is a small bug at the minute in which the items will not go back into the chest. It's just a tiny one, so sometimes you have to break your tube like this. Then we can throw our extraction tube back down and all is good again. But if we was to throw chests in there like this, or we'll throw a cobblestone in there, it's going to go directly through our system as that is what we've specified in our filter tube to be allowed. We can also go ahead as before and give it a colouring, so when it comes out it will have that splash of colour on it, so it can go directly into a coloured sorting system from there, which is pretty nice. The second tube we're going to look at is this guy here, which is the compressor tube. For this you're going to need a regular tube, some pistons and some iron. Now this is made from a server stress point of view on how it's really designed. With this it will compress items into a 64 stack. That's pretty much what it's made for. So for instance, we can let's throw in half our stack of chests. They're going to get pulled through and they'll get held inside the compress. You can see here that it's holding 32 chests. If we was to go ahead and put another 32 chests in here, it's going to make the full stack of 64 and allow them to go through the system, just like that. See, 64 chests. We can go ahead and throw a full 64 in there and they'll just pass directly through it as there'll be no need to hold it. Cool beans. Now we can tell it as well that with this we want that in there and we would like the stack size down to 4. I would like 4 to go through. Throwing 64 is still going to allow 64 to go directly through. But if we was to throw 2 into the system, let's say we were going to throw 2 in there. There we go. It's going to hold the 2 items directly inside there, and the following 2 will go through and then allow the full stack to come out the other end. Pretty cool. So you can see from a server standpoint, this will be very, very welcome to stop lag and other issues like that from mounting up from having millions of single items running through a network when you can compress them down to full stacks of 64, which is very helpful. So the last tube that we're going to be checking out is the routing tube, which is quite possibly the most complicated of the tubes you're going to be getting your head around. This guy is made with a filter tube, some regular tubes and a iron ingot. Now we're going to throw this guy in the middle just like this so I can probably show it off to its best abilities. Now you can see here that I have a extraction tube going directly into this network of tubes that all lead to different chests. If we were to click on the tube here, the routing tube, you're going to see that we're given this display. Now currently all of the sides are closed with no colours attached to them. So if we was to go ahead and tell this side it can have chests, and we're going to say that we want the items to go up. Yeah, that sounds good to me. And we throw a chest in here, it's going to pull the item out and it will go up. There we go. So we can specify exactly where we want it to go, up or down, but you can also specify north, east, south and west on that as well. Or you can tell it to just go, anywhere. If you tell it to go anywhere, it's then going to go to the nearest available inventory. And it's decided that red today is the nearest available inventory for that one. Pretty cool, right? So the next thing we can do is also specify outgoing colors for that as well. So if we tell it that we want it to come out as magenta and we throw it in there, it's going to send it and then push it out as magenta. Bear in mind all these chests are the exact same amount apart, so it's just going to generate one of them. There we go. Cool. So now if we tell it that from this side we want, and we're currently facing east, so if we tell this guy that we want the item to come out of the east slot and then we throw inside another chest, it's going to push that through the east side only, and as we selected magenta, it's going to bring that side going through directly into here. Now obviously the nearest available inventory from this side coming out is this chest here, so it's going to go directly into here just like that. Now we can also go ahead and color the outputs on these as well. So we could go ahead and color this one yellow. We can color this one red, just like this. And now, if we specify the color outgoing as, let's go with red, because I like red, that's a good color. There we go. And we throw another chest in here like this, the item's going to come out given a red splash and it will go directly into this chest here. Now the thing that you have to bear in mind with all of these chests is that the way it works, it's still always going to specify to the nearest available inventory. So for instance, when it comes out of here, even though it's specified as a red color, this item here is the nearest available inventory for it to go through. So at this point here, this is when you'd be using one of these guys. So if we go to our tubes, we would grab ourselves a restriction tube. Now if we was to throw this down here, and we'll put our restriction tube onto here, and now if we try it again, you're going to see that it's still going to be colored red, but it'll be sent down the red line, just like that. Because it's going to ignore this line here, because for this means that it's about 2,000 blocks in that direction, so it's quite possibly the least of the nearest available inventories available. It will hit this line here and then decide, am I red or am I yellow, and it will decide, oh, I'm red, so I'm going to go down the red line, and that's how it's going to do its thing. Now we can also do this with multiple items. So for instance, if we have, and we want a item going north and south, okay, so this will be our north side, or south, and we'll have our north side here, just like this. Cool beans. And we tell it on here that you're allowed dandelion and you're allowed red. There we go. So now we're going to throw all our items in here. They're going to get pulled out and they'll go to the exact area that they've been specified to go to, just like that. So a great way of sorting all of your items very nicely. Now if we was to tell this side that you're going to be any, it will go to the nearest available inventory, which would be one of these three. Or we can close it entirely, so if we threw the items in here, it will pull them and they'll be bounced back because they're not allowed back into there. Now just bear in mind the slight little bug that kind of gets stuck in here, but I'm sure that'll be resolved very, very soon. But there you go, that is pretty much that. So you can see with using all of these together, you can come up with a pretty detailed sorting system using these types of tubes, which it sounds like a great idea to me for moving around all your vanilla items. Oh yeah. Alright guys, well that is the end for this mod spotlight. We've had a gander at Tubes, which is currently 1.6. Remember that the download will be in the description bar if you desire to go and check it out yourself. I highly recommend it as it's a great alternative to the old RedPower pipes, and in general it's a very good piping system. I will see you soon for another one. Have a good one, and goodbye.